We're live.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fight Like Hell podcast, episode 37. Holy shit, 37 episodes. Today is Tuesday? Is it Tuesday?
It's
Yes.
Tuesday.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yeah, we skipped Monday. Some asshole wasn't ready on Monday. It's like
Like
fucking off.
usual.
It's November 2nd, 2021, in case you're listening to this in 2042. And we have a very special guest tonight. Austin, would you like to do the introduction of who we have?
Well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna let him introduce himself. But we have John, aka Blue Dragon, one of our good friends. So how's it going, John?
Oh, can't complain. Another beautiful day.
Good. So yeah,
Yeah.
so we're gonna jump into your summary, who you are and why we have you on here. If you want to just go over that, a quick summary, John.
Uh, really don't know too much to say. I'm kind of modest on that end, but
Well, I mean,
What did you do
you're
in
a
the
veteran.
military? Like, tell us a
I
little bit
was
about your veteran status and what you're doing now.
I'm a Air Force veteran. I was security forces.
Hmm.
Did a little stint in the armory, but after the military, I kind of wandered a little bit, and then found a career in the industrial HVAC side of business. So been doing that for about
Yeah.
15 years now.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Okay. What year did you get out?
I got out in '03.
Oh, three? Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Um, yeah, and like we're gonna get some of your stuff out of you eventually. I know you're being super modest, but you're like huge supporters of both our companies, but also our personal lives, and you've become a really good friend to both of us, and we'll get into one of the reasons why we brought you on the podcast here in a little bit once we get to that part in the show notes. But yeah, John's pretty fucking kick ass, and why don't you give your for Instagram and Austin? Can you pull that up so people can see it, please?
Yeah, I already have it pulled up for once. So
It is
Okay.
at Blue Dragon 81, but the O in Dragon is 0 because somebody already took the good letters. So
of course.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about your page, John, is usually on your stories, usually have like motivational stuff that's actually going on that day for like where do you get those quotes from that you sometimes like text me or
a lot of
post on your
them,
stories?
a lot of them I found on a page on Facebook, and I just copy and paste and make sure they get the credit. But if something
What's the
speaks
name
to
of that
me,
page?
then oh gosh, the first one that
On the
comes up at
spot.
5 o'clock in the morning, I um,
Gotcha. So you have a handful
it's
of different ones. Oh, we got little Allie.
if
You gonna lay down?
I think it's like
Lay down.
spirits and angels, euphoria, or something like that. But,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, and they
It,
usually have like self-reflect stuff and like things that are going on for that day. And occasionally, like you'll text me stuff too, and some of them are like almost like horoscope stuff almost too. They're pretty good.
some of them are, and some of them are just creepy enough that they're that accurate, and you're just like, what the heck was that?
Well,
Or where did that
dude,
come
that's what
from?
I'm getting at. Because
But
when when I was going through my breakup or whatever, you sent some ones and the move. You sent some ones directly to me while Allie and I were out like traveling and shit. That literally were like quoting the current day that I had that day. And I was like, that's fucking creepy. But thanks, Sean.
yeah,
um, well, let's since we kicked things off a little bit differently and we kind of got an idea who you are, that way we can pique people's interest in what they're getting into for this episode. Why don't we go over weekend adventures now? So, Austin, what did you do this past weekend?
everything. So much stuff of absolutely nothing. I mean, it was
Yeah,
Halloween.
what did you do? You went skydiving, right?
Yeah, totally. In my dreams.
Okay. What else
I mean,
happened? Oh, Halloween. You,
I
you
mean,
basically told me to fuck off on Halloween.
I did. I mean, it was just Halloween. I handed out candy. I mean, to the whopping like 3 kids that showed up.
I thought you stayed up and watched movies with your wife.
Well, I did, and then, but I mean, then I handed out candy like twice to like 3 kids that showed up.
Okay.
And you ate the
Good
rest of the
job.
candy.
I mean, I still have like half a bowl, but yeah.
And that's a good thing.
What about you, John? How was your weekend?
Uh, it was a bit of a hell week at work, but we had our annual inventory, so I ended up working about 20 hours of overtime this past week. So Friday night
Okay.
I was at
Whoa.
work until 11. Saturday I was there from 8 to 6, and Sunday I spent the rest of the day just relaxing and doing what needed to be done throughout all the chores and everything. So
The honey to-do list.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
at
something like
least at
that.
least you're getting like overtime and stuff for
Yeah.
that. Because I know, on the weekends a couple times when we've tried to talk, you're usually getting some OT, or maybe you're off because you're getting ready to go on a freaking hike or something cool with your. I guess we'll just announce it now. Something recently happened for you that was kind of special. You want to shout that person out and tell us what happened?
I would love to shout her out, but I can't give you her Instagram name because I don't remember it. But
How
yes,
dare you?
And that's a good thing. We don't need thirsty dudes fucking sliding into her DMs.
they can
Right.
try.
They can actually, yeah. We just
They'll have
won't
some.
entice
They'll
them.
have
We'll
some
make it more
competition.
challenging for them.
But yes,
That
I got in. I got engaged to an amazing woman that has completely changed my life around for beyond measure.
Nice. And how long have you guys been together? Put you
uh-oh.
on the spot.
Hopefully,
Put me on the spot. Um, we've
When's
been
your
together
fuck,
for a
anniversary?
she's
while.
gonna listen to this.
She can
It's
listen
been a
to it.
while. Good answer. It's been a
Nah,
long
I
time.
mean, we started out talking
All
as
the other days
friends, and
before her didn't matter anyways. It was all
Yeah,
leading
yeah,
to her.
wow.
So
yeah.
there we go.
Uh,
Let's save you a little.
And Rob's the
Um,
single one.
oh,
yeah. I got Allie.
Uh,
I mean,
what?
anything else besides, do you watch sports or anything? Did you watch football on Sunday or anything?
I caught some. I don't have cable. I'm trying to save money, so
Hmm.
whatever the
That's pretty
antenna
good.
gets in, then. So we watched a little of the what was it, the 49ers game,
mm.
but
Okay.
other than that, not too much. Red Sox were out of baseball, so
Who's in the
it
World
was
Baseball.
Series
exciting.
right now?
Houston and Atlanta.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right.
I think they're
I
playing
have a
Game 6 tonight or tomorrow night. I don't remember. But Atlanta's
yeah.
up
I have a
3-2.
go. I was gonna say that I have a friend who's like a diehard Braves fan that was just talking about like how stoked he was, and he's like World Series and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I don't pay attention to baseball. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
like going to a baseball game is the shit.
Yeah,
Watching a baseball game is like
kind of
you can
boring.
have it on as background. Like, but I guess in a World Series because it's such a high stake, it's pretty legit, especially if you're a baseball fan. But
It can be, but could you
yeah,
imagine the Super Bowl being the best of 7 series or something like that instead of just one game?
people
Yeah,
would
that'd be
die.
crazy. Having 7 Super Bowl games.
Well, that's why, like in my opinion, hockey is probably one of the most physically demanding sports to get to the championship because it's also 7 game series
Yeah.
and there's I think 82 or 84 games in the season. It's a
Mm,
full contact sport, just like football is.
yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, but baseball, basketball, football, all those sports actually, you're definitely getting the better teams that are going to the championship because it's such a long road to get
Yeah.
to any of those championships. It's not
Mhm.
let's not play 17 weeks. And granted, football is high
Oh
impact, and
yeah.
I get why the season's only like 17 weeks.
Well, I mean,
Um,
speaking of football, I mean, there's a lot of injured players right now. Speaking
well,
on going into what we're going to talk about later, with
we're not
fantasy
going to talk about
football.
it right now. We're
We'll
not going
find
to
it.
talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. We're
You're
going to
not my
skip the
dad.
injury part. And so, uh,
Okay, I'm just
I'm
gonna
going to
mute
tell you about
Rob.
my weekend. We're
Rob,
not
how
gonna
was
we're
your
not gonna.
weekend?
Thank you, thank you. Do you want to be my new co-host? I
I'm just gonna
appreciate
mute
you,
him.
John.
Oh
I'm
no,
just
I
gonna
could
mute
never fill
Rob.
Austin's shoes.
I think anyone could actually.
No.
I don't think anybody would
No,
listen to
so
you complain as much as I do.
this is true. I don't know anyone else who has listened to me this long complain about shit.
So
So like right before the show, Austin, we're in the process of doing performance t-shirts and long sleeve t-shirts for
Ooh.
Saber 6. Like we want to expand our line into like moisture wicking stuff, like mainly polyester, the same stuff that you can get through like Nike, Under Armour, all that shit.
Mhm.
So we spent like a couple hours, and when I mean Austin spent a couple
we
hours researching and finding supposedly the best stuff, and he sent me all the samples to try on, and they all fit. And I'm just like bitching up a fucking storm about how
as
these
usual.
things are not fucking polyester. They are pretty much like, in my opinion, like 70 or 80% cotton. So like it's a manufacturer. What's the name of that company? I want to fucking blow their spot up right now. Do it.
Wow.
Like, no, I'm going to because their
No, I mean
advertising is 100% polyester.
it was jerseys. And without black shirt said it was 100% polyester.
Jerseys. Fuck you. There's your shout out. You're lying your asses off. They literally, I hope one day that our podcast is heard by millions of people. And if you're hearing this, don't order your shirts for your company through jerseys. Is that the name of them, Austin?
Yes.
Fuck that company. Their jerseys, they're not jersey material. Like this Invicta coffee t-shirt that I'm wearing, shout out Invicta. Um, and the stuff that we use for SOS and Saber 6, I could work out better in that stuff. So we're gonna have to find a different distributor. But the point is, like Austin, listen to me, bitch.
Here's one.
Weekend wise, all I did this weekend was pretty much clean my house because we're gonna explain why a little bit later. I have a special guest coming out to visit, and I want to make sure the house was clean, some of the furniture was built, and shit like that. And then I may or may not have went on a date last night that kind of like fucked up our opportunity to do the podcast last night. But
May
it
or may
was
not have.
So what you're saying
but it was
is the
good.
reason it's coming out tonight or tomorrow morning is not my fault. I did not
No,
delay the
No, it's not your
broadcast.
fault.
it's
It's not
all
Austin's
it's all
fault.
Rob's fault like usual.
Yeah. And she was hella cool, and she's a snowboarder is all I gotta say.
That's
So
all Rob cares about.
that like insanely piqued my interest in wanting to use her, I mean hang out with her again. um so that's a summary of my weekend and me bitching about t-shirts.
Everything.
All right, you grab the show notes. Where are we at next?
So we'll go into a little bit more about your backstory, John. So you said you were in the Air Force. So when did you join the Air Force?
I went in. God, as the oldest one in the group, my memory's failing. August of 2000 is when I officially went on the bus to boot camp.
Okay.
Um, which
So what? A couple questions on that. Like, what made you go in? And I'm curious to know also like the process of when September 11th happened because you would have been in for probably just over a year at that. Uh,
that was, yeah. Um, we'll get to September 11th in a minute because a lot of people are just in disbelief when I tell them about my part of it. But I've got uh, almost every able-bodied male in my family that I can think of has served in one branch or another. Um,
mhm.
my brother was in Army National Guard, I believe, was it Army or Air? Army National Guard. My dad was in the Air Force. I had a grandfather in the Army. I had a grandfather in the Air Force. I had cousins in the Army and Air Force, and I think my dad's got two second cousins on the Arizona out in Pearl Harbor. So,
Okay.
yeah. So it was.
So was it almost obligation, like just out of like military heritage?
I didn't feel obligated, but I had that desire to do it. I wanted to
Okay.
carry on the tradition in my family.
Hmm.
And I really didn't feel like going to college at the time. And, those recruiters could sell a car to
Oh yeah.
anybody. And you're going to have time for college. You're going to have time for this. You're going to
Yeah,
have
time for
the
everything.
best days of your life. You're going to see the world. But they don't tell you that, all the other stuff that happens. But, so yeah, I shipped out in August of 2000, went to San Antonio, Texas in the middle of August. That
Hmm.
was, probably not the smartest of my thinking, but then again, the humidity is nothing compared to Florida. So when they black flagged us
Right.
on training days because it's 100 degrees outside, and I'm like, this feels like it's 90 outside, but okay.
Right.
Everybody else was looking at me like I had three heads, but. Um, and then after that, I stayed on that base for tech training for another 3 months, 4 months, for security forces, which is Air Force's basically police, law enforcement, and base security all in one
Mm.
um, job description for the most part.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I was stationed in Albuquerque, New Mexico for the remainder of my assignment. So
Okay.
did not get to see much of the world, but I got to see more of the U.S.
How did you
I
like it out
had
there?
While I was there, I hated it, but
Like usual.
look, looking back at it now, I'm like, wow, that really wasn't that bad. But and you're going to point and laugh at me, and that's fine. But I originally had orders for Lake and Heath in England, and I turned them down because of why, Rob? What did I
Because it's
turn orders down for?
fucking Europe, man. An English-speaking Europe country.
Because I
Continue.
turned them down for a girl.
Of course. Of course you did. Like every other military
that
guy
I
does.
that I did not have a future with after.
Of
So.
course. I did the same thing. It's okay.
um,
Oh, yeah. Go on.
We've all been there.
so yeah, I made that mistake, but at the same time, it brought me to where I am now. So can I really call it a mistake?
Right.
Uh,
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those things. You,
So,
you change your mindset, and everything else just seems to follow. And if you focus on the bad things in your past, or you focus on what you called a mistake at the time, but then you look at it and you go, every little thing that happened, good or bad, has brought me to this point, and things are going pretty damn good right now. So was it really a bad thing at the time?
Hmm.
no, I think that like stuff like that too creates resilience for people, and it does one or two things, honestly. Like, when the person's going through it, it might suck,
Yep.
but it's, for lack of better words, it's creating like a thicker skin. It's creating awareness to things that we may or may not like and we don't want to see in a repeated situation, whether it's a place, a job, a relationship, friendship, any of that stuff. And it kind of like shapes who we are later. Because the cool thing about like us today, we're sitting here. We've
Mhm.
had things happen, but we fought like hell to get here today. And that's what we hope that the podcast does for other people, that inspires by listening to people's stories like yours, Sean, and other guests that we have on. because we don't want people to quit. We want people to
No.
just, if you're going through hell, we want you to keep going, basically.
Yep.
Get into that September 11th story, unless you
Uh,
weren't there yet.
oh, I was pretty much there. For the most part, when I started at the base, they had me on base entry, checking IDs and everything like that, but it wasn't as strict or anything like that because September 11th hadn't hit.
Right.
And then they put me into the armory, which was a fun
Mhm.
job for the most part, but is also the reason I am not in the Air Force anymore. But we'll get into that one after September 11th. um, so I was on night shift, and because of the job description, you ended up working 12-hour shifts.
Mhm.
Which why they called them 12-hour shifts, I don't know, because they actually turned into 14-hour shifts. But
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
That's military time for you.
that's military time for you. So September 10th, I was working. I got off of work at just before 6 a.m. What is Albuquerque Mountain Time?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, I was staying with a friend off base, so as I'm driving off base, I hear something on the radio, and they're
Yeah, because
talking about, you know,
that would have been right as the first plane hit.
right as the first plane hit, and I'm like, this has got to be one of those hoaxes or something like that. And all I could think about was, you
Mhm.
know, back in the old days with the night, or what was it, the War of the Worlds, when everybody thought.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay. So I called my dad because he worked at a newspaper at the time, and I'm like, did this just really happen? He's like, yeah, it's really happening. And so I finished the drive to the friend's house and turned on the TV, and as soon as that second plane hit, I'm like, I looked at my friends and I'm like, we got to go back to base. I said, if we don't start now, they're going to call us anyway, so we might as well start now.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So we drive back to base and check in, and I don't think twice. I just got a 14-hour shift. They're like, we need people. I grabbed a gun and I went and stood at one of the base gates. Everybody else that was working that night was like, we worked last night, and so they're going back to sleep. I'm like, where did everybody go? I'm working with completely different crews, so I ended up working at 14. I had like 30 minutes off or so, and then I was back for another 12. So in a matter of a half hour, I went from a night shift to a day shift and stayed that way for, I think it was the next 3 weeks or so.
Hmm.
But it was, I mean, that's what the job called for. That's what I was going to do. I don't quit. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm tired. I got to go to sleep. No,
Right. And
Yeah. Our
especially when something
country's under
big like
attack.
right,
yeah,
especially
Like,
something like when that big happens, like they're gonna need you, and like you said, we better start heading back because they're gonna call you back
yeah.
anyways. Like the country just got attacked. They're gonna call you back. Might as well go
But
do your job.
yeah, I mean, I never got deployed or anything after that. I had orders twice to get deployed, and both times something came up, and to I finally figured out the reason why. Um, I don't know if you guys remember, but in September I had gone out to Texas to visit my family, and they've got a park out there for Medal of Honor recipients.
Okay.
mhm.
And as I'm standing there in the park, I'm like, I don't know what it was, but there was just a breeze, and then like as soon as that breeze hit me, it just clicked in my head that the reason I didn't get deployed was because I wouldn't have made it back,
Hmm.
which is kind of morbid to think about it. But then the more I reflected on it, I'm a very selfless person.
Hmm.
I'm a
Mhm.
very, I've noticed I'll sacrifice myself for the better of the team, for the better of somebody else too. So if something would have happened, I would have done whatever I needed to do to make sure everybody else made it back before I did. It was just weird that in that wind in that park is where I finally realized after 20 years why I never got deployed. So,
Hmm.
Yeah, and
But
it's it's funny you say that because just knowing you in probably what the past like 5 or 6 months we've known you,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's been about
you
that.
are very selfless.
Oh yeah,
What's
100%.
that? Yeah, I mean you're constantly even it could be like the middle of the night and you like when I was going through hell probably about a month or two ago, probably a month ago, um, you were reaching out all hours of the day just to see what's going on and you bullshit with me or you'd send me stuff and I guess the point is like I don't know. If correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're religious or you are you not or
Um, I was.
spiritual?
I'm gonna go with spiritual now.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, because some of the posts you share are definitely spiritual and or could be mistaken for religious.
yeah.
Right.
Um, I not step on anybody's toes or hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that, but whenever I think religious, I think of, you know, you're this denomination, you're this denomination,
Right.
you have this set of beliefs,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
that's where it's at. And when you go to spiritual, it's okay to believe this, but also to believe that. Um,
yeah,
Right.
it opens up
I
more
think there's
doors
I
for.
think there's more than just what's written in a book.
Oh, I agree.
Um,
Mhm.
and I think
Yeah, no, you're preaching
that's
to the podcast choir here on that. Like
Right.
we're both of the same mind, and definitely no offense to anyone that is
no,
into religion. It's kind of one of those things like religion, politics, and all the COVID stuff. Whatever you want to believe is cool.
yep,
We can have an open discussion about, but there's no reason to shout it or to try to brainwash people into
no,
Yeah.
an ideology that you believe in. Because you're
no.
allowed to believe in whatever the fuck you want to believe in.
Hell,
Yeah.
all three of us signed our lines so people had that freedom.
Yeah. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
one thing that just like Rob was talking about. Like, I could care less what you believe in or who you are, but like, don't push it down my throat or push it down other people's throat. Just because they don't believe in the same things you do. Like, me and Rob can believe in completely different things, but it doesn't mean I'm not gonna be his friend because he believes in something different than I do. Like, I could care less as long as you're a good human being, then we can be friends. Like, I could care less who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And also I was gonna say too, listening to your story about September 11th, the interesting thing that kind of struck me is you know, I came in right after September 11th. Austin came in a handful of years later.
Yeah, 10 years
You were
afterwards.
actually yeah, you were actually active duty during that time. So one of the things I wanted to ask, obviously keep OPSEC in mind, but some of those changes had to be so fucking drastic into like the military that Austin and I knew where we
Oh
came in
yeah.
and it's 100% they're checking everyone's single fucking ID that's coming through the gate or remember back in the day they used to put like the stickers on the car to
Yep.
like say that you were officially a part of that base or something like that. So what were some of the things that you can talk about that's like, knowledge or known information, non-OPSEC?
Mhm.
Like, what were some of those like huge changes you guys saw right off the bat?
A lot of it that I saw, the base I was at had a lot of outside contractors on there. Um,
Mhm.
Hmm.
so it was hard at first because a lot of the laboratories and stuff they had on the base, they weren't letting those people on. Those offices were closed, and so everything was shut off. Um, the way that base is designed, though, it's incorporated into Albuquerque City. It's not like
Okay.
a lot of some of the other bases, like Robbins or anything like that, where you've got to go out of your way to get to the base. Um, or not Robbins, but I know there's a few of the Army bases in like Georgia and stuff where you can't find them by accident.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know where you're going.
Right.
This base was right on two main roads. They intersect on the base, so you had a lot of times that people would be drunk and they'd be trying to drive up to the base and be like, "Well, I can't get through here. I just need to go that way."
It's
No,
like,
you
no.
need to turn around and go. Um, so they closed it to the outside contractors for a few weeks, which wasn't too bad. The biggest thing I ran into, and it really is an OPSEC, but was seeing the power battles, I guess you would call them, between
Mm-hmm.
some of the leadership because they had us stagger water barricades so that you had to basically do like a slow down and weave between these things to get through the.
Right.
And as you know, a week goes by and they're trying to get more people on base to get back to work and everything like that. They're wanting us to move these things to let more cars through. And so 5 minutes later, you'd have somebody else come by. Why did they move these? Because we
I
were
was
told to move
told
these.
to.
Well, put them back. We can't do that. Okay, so you put them back, and then 10 minutes later, somebody else comes by. I thought I told you to.
That still happens
Will
to
you,
this day.
will you
So.
guys tell me which one you want I'm supposed to listen to? Because either way, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's still normal.
but I mean, it was just. It really wasn't a whole lot of policy change. It was just enforcing a lot more of the existing policy.
Mm-hmm.
If ID cards were expired, then you couldn't let the whole family on base to get them all renewed at the same time. You could only let one person on to go get them renewed and then have them bring everybody else on. And more consistent vehicle checks, more consistent,
Right.
you know, background and stuff like that. But
Okay.
it wasn't
So.
really too crazy.
Yeah.
And then something that we kind of skipped over, that we definitely wanted to talk
When
about
we say
is
we mean Austin. Austin skipped over this.
you didn't talk about it
Go ahead,
either.
Austin.
I
No,
mean, you
because it
didn't.
was your fucking job. I gave you.
Oh,
I was like, hey, Austin, why don't you go over to the next thing? What does he do? Just fucking skips it. As you're talking about it, I'm gonna hold it up.
so we, well, as in John actually had the idea that helped, and he helped us, get something that we definitely love, and it's challenge coins. Um, so yeah, I got mine. Rob got his.
And
Um,
mine's upstairs.
and then
Way to go,
uh,
John.
so on the back it says, with every challenge we face, there are but two choices: you can quit or you can, and then it has our logo on the front.
Fight like hell.
Yep. So I just want to thank John for helping us get these. And then who made these, John?
Those were acquired through a company called Valor Coins,
Okay.
um, which is a really nice gentleman named Brent. That actually is the, I hope I don't mess this up, grandson of a Medal of Honor recipient, Woody
Wow.
Williams, who is doing a lot of the Gold Star monuments, Gold Star family memorials and monuments throughout the country. And
Okay.
so I think it was a percentage of each of the transactions for the coins goes towards those memorials going up in each neighborhood as well. So that's definitely a big plus in my book.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so this is who it is. I definitely appreciate it. Appreciate John helping us get these. They turned out amazing. And then for everybody wondering, we're not going to be selling these. We're not going to be doing these. We're going to only be giving these away to guests and people we think deserve them.
It's pretty fucked up considering we have a lot of followers. I would have
I
just
mean,
said something different.
well, it's the truth
Now,
though.
like, what if someone doesn't get one that we actually like? We
Oh
only
well.
have 20 of these things, by the way. So, and Austin and I are keeping
If
one
if,
each.
if they don't get
And
one, they weren't
John kept
special
one.
enough to us.
Yeah. They weren't. They sucked. as people.
Yeah, just blame Rob. It was his decision.
No, it wasn't my
Wow.
decision.
Rob, can you turn around? I think there's some bus marks on your back. I'm not sure.
There's what?
I think Austin just ran you over with the bus.
Oh,
He did
bus
not
marks.
get it.
I thought you said-
And so he hit, no.
Oh God. I was
Oh,
like,
right
oh
over his
crap!
head.
I didn't say the M word, did I? He's not gonna freak out, is he?
He went right over his
more.
head.
Yeah.
No,
His
the
No,
other
feelings
M
were
word.
chilling.
Oh, M word.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't know what he's talking about. What's he talking about, Austin?
Are you that dense? I
No,
think
it's
he's
late
just.
for him.
I'm just tired. These 10-hour shifts suck.
And say, I think his trailer park is showing. It's okay.
Oh wow. Oh
Alright.
God.
I don't know what he's talking about. We're gonna go on to different things, but
Let's move on.
yeah, let's stay on these challenge coins for a second because I think it's I know you don't want that much credit, but you put a lot of work into getting this all set up, and um, we definitely, obviously showed the company what's their at Instagram, just so people can look them up if they're on audio. Austin,
Yeah. Pull it up again.
we'll put in the show notes, just
Uh,
Yeah.
because I know that I'm kind of an asshole on some things that I felt bad because you sent us ideas and I'm like, no, that color doesn't work. No, that color doesn't work. And you spent so much time working with them, working with us, and coming up with a sick ass design using our actual logo, using one of our actual quotes, and you did this all kind of as a surprise. And you were the one too that surprised me with some therapists have four legs, which was a really cool shirt. I think I quoted it right. And
sounds
it's
right.
just yeah. So it goes back to what you were saying earlier about being selfless. Like you're constantly looking out for Austin and and I mean, I say it all the time on Saber Six. We're family, so I don't consider you guys like my customers. Like I consider you my
Yeah.
brothers and sisters, and
Yeah.
I appreciate
Well,
anyone who supports any of us. So thank you.
I, I'm loyal, and when I find a company or companies that I believe in to the core, then I'm going to support them. Be it Save Our Six or Vigilant and Humble or Fight Like Hell or whoever it is. If I believe in you, I believe in your message, then
Hmm.
I'm going to do what I can to boost that up, to share that as much as I can. So,
Well, we appreciate it. And you're one of the other things that you were modest about and didn't bring up, but I just thought of it. You're pretty big into fitness. Like you're at the gym at least like 3 or 4 times a week getting after it, and you're usually rocking one of our tank tops or shirts or something.
I
And
try.
yeah. So with that being said, do you think because you're a very passive person and it seems like you're calm, collective, and you even said before the podcast if we threw you any hardballs, like you would just take a moment to think about things before you answered because you didn't want to potentially step on anyone's toes or anything like that or just put your foot in your mouth basically like I do all the time. I fuck up and say stupid shit. Do you think that part of the reason why you have your calmness is due to work, working out? Like, what is it that's transformed you? Because I'm assuming you weren't always this way, or were you always this way? Your demeanor.
I've always had a more observation or observant
Hmm.
demeanor. I
Okay.
don't necessarily always rush into things. I'll kind of sit back and see what's going on and then see how I need to react accordingly. Um,
Hmm.
for the most part, I do have a few buttons that if they get pushed, then it's red
Right.
and look out. But for the most part, nobody's really done that. A lot of it part of it was always that way, but I think another part of it was just learning from mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
That, sometimes somebody says something and you say something quick back to them and they're like, where the hell did that come from? Or why did you say that? That kind of hurt. And then you're like, I shouldn't have done that. Or, sometimes I'd get mad at something and I threw my keys one time while I was in the car and they bounced off the armrest and hit the windshield and cracked the windshield. And I'm like, now what do I do? I just cracked the windshield. Now I'm even more mad. It didn't really help anything. So a lot of it's just me realizing to stop for a second and see what the outcome's going to be before I get it to that point, I guess. The gym helps a lot with my mental condition.
Mm-hmm.
Had a lot of stuff happen in the last few years, and honestly, this time a year ago, I was on antidepressants, I was on anti-anxiety medicine, I was losing my mind for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
because of the situation I was in. And I held on, I kept doing what I needed to do, and a year later, everything's a million times better. So there is light if you don't give up the fight.
Okay, and so I want to touch on that. If what do you think the number one thing that helped you get through those tough times were?
Not to sound corny, but I'd say number one was the woman I'm engaged to now.
Yeah, no, I mean
Uh,
that's huge. No, I mean that's
Yeah,
definitely
no,
huge.
it's
Is
not
having
corny.
having somebody and having a support system to help you through those times is huge. Because a lot of
yeah,
people that struggle try to do it alone and try to do it by themselves, and unfortunately, a lot of those are the people that don't make it through because
no.
they close themselves in too much, and they don't want to reach for help because they don't want to be a burden on
Well,
people.
having somebody that will listen to you and not judge you and actually listen and not be like, oh, well, you should do this and do this and feed advice down your throat
Mm.
is a big thing. I mean,
Yeah, no,
it's
100%.
sometimes you just need somebody to just sit there and not say anything and just let you speak whatever's on your mind, no matter how crazy it sounds.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
think that's one of the reasons that me and Rob work well together because me and Rob have talked about anything and everything under the sun, and
yeah,
I don't care what it is. Like I just listen sometimes where he just says anything and everything he wants to, and if he wants feedback, I'll give him feedback, and sometimes even if it's brutally honest.
yeah,
Yeah, we've had some almost. With anyone else, I think they would have been fights because I'll tell Austin exactly what I'm thinking without any type of holding back. But it kind of correlates. Well, I think what Austin's getting at for your situation, John, is it's nice, to have that relationship with someone, whether it's a male, female, boyfriend, girlfriend, friend, fiance, whoever. It's just nice to have a soundboard for someone who actually gives a shit about you
yeah,
because then you're figuring out a way to get out some of your frustrations and you're not being judged. Like
yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's critical. That's super helpful.
I think she was probably the main thing that kept me going. I mean, I've got a supportive family. I've got a couple of friends now, but I didn't really have that before. But most of my family is
Hmm.
in Texas, so I was in Florida at the time, and you can't really go out and visit your family when they're 1,300 miles away,
Right.
um, and that's honestly where I started doing a lot of inner soul searching too, and just digging in and trying to get a little more.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but a little bit more understanding to everything that was going on and how I was reacting to it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it definitely
Yeah.
helps, not having too many people, either,
Yeah,
because that can be definitely overwhelming too.
yeah,
So,
I got my support system. She weighs about 45 pounds, and she's got big giant ears, and she's
Better
the
for
cutest
listening.
fucking service dog ever.
Right. So, we can go on to the next topic, Rob. Um, what what are you doing next weekend, Rob?
Well,
Or
this
this weekend?
Thursday. So, so Sam's coming to visit is the short of it. SOS Sam. Everyone knows her. What is it at something Butte or like Canadian Butte? I don't know.
Come on, Rob. You should know this.
I
Wow.
don't fucking know it off the top of my head. But Canada Sam, Sam Canada, SOS
Same
Sam,
Canada.
Smoke Show Sam,
Is
fucking
bottle
Cool
popping Butte
Sam,
is who you're
fucking
talking about.
Bottle Poppin' Butte, Smoke Show Sam. Everyone knows her. A lot of people follow her. She's been one of our best brand reps, and we went beyond that and actually made her an administrator for Saber 6. And we had been talking about her coming to visit for a while, and then she randomly like texted me. I think she texted me like last week Wednesday, and she's like, "Hey, like I'm thinking about coming out and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Okay, send me the dates and send me the flight info. Like, let's look at all this." I adore Sam, and she sends me a schedule that's literally 8 days away, and I'm like, "Sam, that's like really soon." And she's like, "Yeah, it's like now or it's going to be in March or April when the hockey season's over because we'll get into like what's going on with Sam more when she potentially is on the podcast next week. But Sam's made some big moves in the Canadian hockey market, and she went from like a trainer to an assistant GM or not GM or like assistant coach or something like that. Anyways, she's involved in juniors hockey and her schedule's crazy. And she literally had a 4 or 5 day window where she could do shit. And she's like, "I'm coming to see you." I'm like, "Okay, you'll
That's
be
awesome.
officially the first person to actually come and stay out here." And yeah, we got a lot of stuff planned. And also, on a side note, shout out to Canada. Fuck you, Canada, and all your stupid rules. See that? That's the flag. That's the good flag. The
And
American
that's when we
flag.
lost
The
half the
amount of
Canadian audience.
And we lost the Canadian audience. All right, so it's not the Canadians that like the people of Canada. This is not your fault, but it is your country's fault because they have made this girl go through so much shit to get a flight down here and to get her back. And we'll go into that crazy debauchery next week as we're actually dealing with it in real time. But that poor girl has to go through so much to get a flight out here and to get a flight back. And there's a possibility if she catches COVID that she's going to get stuck out here and she's going to be living with me for like 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens. That is a possibility. But someone can watch Allie because she needs all the help she can get. Really?
So
Yeah?
if you want to go let her out, Rob, or if you want to take care of her, attack, Ellie, attack.
Okay. So that's what Allie sounds like. Yeah, I guess we can go into the next thing. I'll be able to hear you guys because I got Bluetooth audio, and
Yeah,
we're gonna let her out.
you're good, man. So the next thing we want to talk about is fantasy football. I don't know if you do fantasy football at all, John.
I don't, which is probably a good. Well, I was a little disappointed with my Eagles the last 2 weeks ago, I think it was, when they traded somebody, but no, I don't
Um,
really.
Who they trade?
They sent Zach Ertz to the Arizona Cardinals.
Hey, that's out here.
That is out
it is
there.
indeed.
Uh,
I know. Yeah. Where are the Arizona Cardinals based out of? Do you know?
Phoenix.
gosh.
Oh, probably, I mean, I would
Um,
imagine. Hey, probably Phoenix.
they share. Do they share the stadium?
They share the stadium with the college.
Yeah.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Um, there's a.
Yeah, Phoenix.
I'm wanting to say Glendale, but I don't know why I'm saying Glendale. I don't think it's Glendale.
Okay.
It's really near. It's really close to Phoenix. I know
Or
that.
Flag.
Yeah, it is
Uh,
Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, short answer, I don't do too much fantasy, so.
Okay. So yeah. Well, we'll talk about fantasy a little bit. So currently, Rob is actually number 1 in our fantasy league.
from like 10th to
Yeah, and
from 10th
I'm
to
last
first
place.
place.
So
Well, that's not
You are
nice
in
to
last
them.
place. You are doing fucking terrible. However,
I
what
mean,
happened for the first time ever for you?
I
Uh,
yeah, I mean, I got like my first win in fantasy football last week. So I mean, I'm still last place.
yeah,
So
yeah, you're doing terrible at fantasy football, and you constantly want to blame me. But I
I
just
mean,
think
you're
that
the one that was my coach.
I mean, I was trying to help you. Allie,
I
come
mean,
get this.
apparently you did a bad job.
Fantasy's all luck, man. But yeah, I don't know. Like I've done really good in our league. Oh, and those of you who follow Henry fantasy football, I have Mark Henry, who's the number 1 running back. I have Tom Brady, who's the number 1 quarterback. And Mark Henry went down with a pretty bad injury and has to have surgery and might be out for a long time. And yeah, so that kind of sucks. So I don't know if I'm going to keep riding first place here. But top 8 make
We'll see.
the playoffs. I highly doubt Austin's getting into the playoffs.
Probably
Which
not.
kind of sucks. But yeah, it was a good way for me to take Austin's money.
Wow.
AKA Euro money.
I mean, initially, you owe me back for that. That you're not getting out of. Allie. Okay,
So
so yeah, fantasy football is going really good for me, really shitty for you, but you had one redeeming quality because you actually won a game.
for
Is the
once.
moral of that.
So
And
I
I
think that's
think,
it, man.
all right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the Fight Like Hell podcast. Have a good night. Peace. Wait, it's
No,
not the end.
I think we're missing
Uh,
something.
oh, what is
Oh,
that thing? Is it called ATI? Mom, this is the part where you stop listening.
This is the part we're gonna see how embarrassed we can make John.
Let's see if we can get you red.
probably, but
All right. Oh wow, this is a good starter.
Yeah,
I
go
got this
ahead.
first one. Would you rather have a threesome with 2 midgets or 2 7-foot tall women?
wow.
If you weren't engaged, if your fiance
Yes,
didn't
yes.
exist, like
Disclaimer,
we're
disclaimer,
throwing those
disclaimer,
caveats.
disclaimer, disclaimer. Uh,
Disclaimer.
damn.
Which
You're
one?
brutal, Austin. That's the first question.
First one.
He set these up, by the way. So if you're
Good.
gonna unfollow anyone, unfollow Vigilant and Humble.
That's okay.
Oh. Um, I guess we'd go tall.
Yeah.
Tall,
I
7 foot
don't know.
tall.
Okay.
I just I don't know. He, the wee people
Austin, what?
sometimes make me a little uncomfortable. So
Okay. Well, I'm taking the 2 midgets. So
You taking the midgets? Why is that?
100%. I don't. 7 feet tall is way too fucking tall. I don't want. I don't want to
Mm,
have sex with 2 Amazon women.
that's pretty mean. I say racist, but I don't know if it's like tallest, like
Tallest.
sizest. Yeah, tallest. Um, here's where I'm conflicted.
Yes.
I've never had sex with a midget.
Me either.
I've had sex with girls that are taller than me.
Oh yeah.
But here's why it's confusing to me. I think if I try hard enough in this lifetime, I can find a midget to have sex with. Like this is more of a probability
I'll
than
add it
the
to your
7 foot
list.
tall one. Yeah, it's in my Arizona list. We have a list that that we share of like my to-do shit. Find a midget, hook up with a midget. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the 7 foot tall lady because I just don't ever realistically see that happen, and I'm good with having taller women. I don't discriminate. I'm not tallest,
Oh.
so I don't think that I'm gonna get a chance with 2 7 foot tall women, whereas I might be able to find a midget in this lifetime.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's my answer.
Oh, wow.
So, okay, I'll read the next one. So, if you got a one-time pass to commit whatever crime you wanted, what would it be?
God. One time.
That's no brainer for me. You want me to go first? What do you think about it, John?
Then you go ahead.
I'm doing a heist, and
I mean, yeah.
if I'm getting away with it, fuck. I almost want to just like hack a bank or something like that. Or I want to be able to hack Bitcoin and get
All the Bitcoin.
probably like 200,000 Bitcoin somehow. Because that'd be lots of money. Because I think they're at like close to like 70,000 right now. I think they're like 64, something like that. Yeah, and then I'm cashing out like half of them immediately. So that's what I'm doing.
See, I was thinking something like that, but then I was kind of thinking, just put a worm in the software of like Amazon where you get a percentage of each order.
Oh,
That's a
whoa!
good one.
There you
Yeah.
go.
And then you've got a constant supply of money.
And you're gonna get away with it. So
You're
like
gonna
it's
get
gonna
it
be
is what it
a
is.
lifetime of.
I think that's a good one. Because I was going heist too. Like I was thinking, I'm gonna replay Money Heist, the TV show, and just do that, but get away with it.
Oh,
Where
you
they
mean
get
a
away,
show that you actually watch?
yeah, where they get away with like $150 billion.
I totally just spilled
Good
LaCroix
job,
on my laptop.
good job, Rob.
Good job.
Good job.
That
Proud
really
of
just happened.
you. Well,
Might be fucked.
we'll
I need
we'll
to
get into
power
this
this
next
down
one.
like immediately and put this motherfucker in
Uh,
rice.
Rob's a failure, as we're
Damn.
saying. Um,
Oh,
Dude, I've been drinking on the podcast like alcoholic beverages for
for
almost a year
37
now, and
podcasts.
I've never have spilled. I'm sober as fuck, and I just knocked over an entire
good
LaCroix
job.
on my fucking like $800 laptop.
So,
I
so do you want to read the next question, Rob?
can't. My fucking laptop is turned off.
Oh
Did you
boy.
not understand what I just said? I powered it
No,
down that way it didn't
no.
short out.
Oh, okay. Next one. Would you watch a porno with your dad as the main star for $1 million?
Dude,
No,
I'd watch it for like $200. Are you kidding me?
no.
I hope my
Uh,
mom's not listening to this. I
million.
now flip that could not do that. Like it would take millions upon millions of dollars. I don't want to see anyone fucking my mom. Like that is weird. But like if dad's throwing down, yeah, I'd definitely take the $1 million.
What about you, John?
How
Yeah,
about
yeah. I couldn't do that. A million
No.
dollars would not cover the therapy visits after that.
really? You like dude, my dad's like cool. Like I tell him about girls I hook up with and shit.
Okay,
I
but
mean,
if you flip that around and he's like,
is that not
so
normal?
the
Is
other
that not normal?
day,
Am I not supposed to have those conversations?
okay, but what if he started sharing it with you instead of you sharing it with him?
That would be
I mean,
awful. I don't want to know about my mom.
Okay, there you go.
But I'm sure like my dad's been faithfully married for 36 years, I think now.
you
Because that
think?
was like the greatest mistake that ever happened to him, is what I tell them. Because that was an accident. But the point is like, my dad. I hate saying this. My dad's been only hooking up with one lady for a very long time. Let's just leave her
Thankfully.
nameless. But I guess what I'm getting at is, like I'll probably split the money with him. I'm gonna be honest. That's what I'm gonna do. Like, we're gonna split $500,000, and then like we're just not gonna tell mom about it because she's not
Just
gonna make
not
it
gonna
this
tell
far
her.
in the podcast.
Oh
Do not
God.
tell her. What about
Guess
you, Austin?
Oh, 100%. I mean, $1 million?
Yeah, and your dad isn't your dad single right now?
No, he's married.
No. Oh. Ah, what's marriage anyways? People cheat all the time.
Okay.
Wow.
It's not worth it anyways.
Wow.
It's coming from someone who's very bitter about
Wow.
It's not worth it anyways.
his previous relationships. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they all had to end for me to get here, so.
I mean, like, yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for too. One day I'm gonna find Mrs. Right that actually sticks around.
I've only been married for 6 years, so I don't know anything.
You've been married for a long time, like 8 years, right, Austin?
I've been with my wife for 8 years.
How long have you guys been married?
6.
Dude, you're a lucky dude. Yo, we need to put a poll up, and or we just need to like say this. I think your wife needs to come on the podcast. I think that would be a fun episode.
No, because the things you want to ask her aren't allowed.
I want to ask so many. The thing is, I know everything about you. It's just I
You
want
do.
to be able to embarrass you, because unfortunately, our second most popular episode, I think on YouTube or on Spotify, I'm not sure, is when we talked about when we had my ex on the
Mhm.
podcast. Wait, actually, don't bring her on the podcast. Maybe that would lead to a divorce.
That's okay. We're gonna have Sam on next week, and that's gonna be the best episode so far.
What are you talking about? This is going to be our best episode so far.
I was thinking Sam because you're gonna turn beet red next episode.
I mean, no, I won't turn
Yes.
red.
Yeah,
Although,
you will.
have you seen her hair? Her hair
Oh,
is like super red.
No, I was talking about because we're gonna embarrass you the whole time.
Yeah,
Oh
but they already
yeah,
did that. You guys already did that on the first time.
I know this is gonna be even better because it's gonna be in person.
Oh gosh. I'm
yeah.
sorry, Rob.
No, yeah,
I can't wait to
yeah.
listen,
My
but I'm
my mom
sorry.
was like, yeah. My mom was super excited. She's like, oh, Canada Sam's coming out. I'm like, yeah, she's coming out. She's like, that's that really pretty hockey girl. And I was like, yes, that's the pretty hockey girl. She's
She
pretty
actually
cool.
likes her
She
compared to the
also,
other one.
what's that?
That she actually likes her compared to the other one.
Yeah, one of those red flag indicators that just so you guys know, like sometimes like your family and friends can see shit that you can't see, and when your mom, who you're kind of close to, is telling you that the girl you're dating is not the one, maybe you should start listening because I think like 2 out of 3 of the last girlfriends I've had in the last 5 years, she called it. She's like, nope, this isn't the one you're marrying. And she was spot on. It was only
Moms are
one that
pretty.
deceived both of us.
Moms are pretty good about that stuff. Although at some point they let you
Yeah,
make your own mistakes, and then 15 years later they go, "It is so
told
nice
you
to
so.
see you genuinely happy again." Like,
There you
why
go.
didn't you say something 15 years ago?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. One more. Would you rather wake up tomorrow in colonial times or the year 2500?
colonial.
Whoa. Why?
Well, why? Why not?
Yeah, explain. Allie
Well,
wants to know too.
Allie wants to know too. Well, I will tell Allie. Um, I don't know. I'm a big history person, and to be able to, I mean, I'd hope I'd recognize what was going on, but to be a part of those transformative years would be just so much better than jumping to the future, I think, and not knowing what was going on or not knowing. I mean, we thought there was going to be hoverboards in, the year 2020, but Back to the Future
That
let us
didn't
down on
happen.
that.
I mean, there is something called hoverboards.
Yeah, but it's not the same
They
thing.
don't hover.
They don't hover.
And
But
pizza,
no, I
What
just
and
about you,
Pizza Hut
Rob?
was supposed to go in like a little microwave thing and then like come out or
Okay.
something like that.
yeah.
What about you, Rob?
Oh, it's easy for me. I'm doing the future
Yeah. Why?
because I want to see. I'm gonna already invest like heavily in Bitcoin, and I'm gonna. Where are you going? You don't want me to hold you? This is pissing you off, Allie. So
Okay.
for those of you who can't see this, I just grabbed my dog, and she's on the microphone right now. I think she might actually try to eat it.
So
But I'm
I think
force
that's a good
holding
idea,
her.
Rob. So I'm gonna go with colonial times because then I'm gonna be able to. I'm just gonna create Google and create Bitcoin, and then just be a billionaire.
In colonial times, it's
Well,
just
no,
not
like
gonna work. You don't have internet. You don't know how to create the internet. You're a fucking liar,
I'm
Austin.
gonna
Your
create the
idea is
internet.
shit. This is like that time that you thought that you were gonna. What were you gonna do? You're gonna defeat the rhinos, or like I can't remember. There was like
Oh
one time
yeah,
where you were
I
so.
know. It was the defeat the like the lion with a knife or whatever. I know what you're talking about.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Um. Okay, so that's your final answer is colonial
Yep.
times, right?
Yep.
Okay. Um. I
Be
guess
like
is
I'll be
that
like Biff. I'll be like Biff in Back to the Future.
you'll be like cheating the system?
Yeah.
But how would you stay alive? Or is this like a visit? You can go there and then come back?
No, you live there the
Then you're
rest of
not
your
going to
life.
be able to accomplish
You're
anything.
done.
Everything's
I'll
going
do
to already be
everything.
done.
Nope. I'm gonna do
You're
everything.
going to die in that time frame. At least John was like, I'm going to be a history buff, or I am a history buff. So, like, I'm going to be able to see cool shit
I'm gonna
and
be
do
part of
cool
the
stuff because
revolution.
there you go.
I'm gonna go be a fortune
Can
teller.
I, Allie, do you want to go to
I
the
know what's
future or
gonna
not?
happen.
I mean, you could try and make your way out west and find the gold, 100 years before everybody else or something like
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
if you
Whoa,
could
there you go.
survive it through like that whole
The
trail with
winters.
a horse, but okay.
Alright.
Yeah, Austin will definitely die.
Hmm.
Like, I have no faith in his survivability.
I probably died dysentery. It's okay.
Oregon Trail. Shout out the millennials that have played Oregon Trail, and then the Gen Zs that have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. Well, John, is there
Yeah.
anything that you want to plug before we wrap this up? You got anything coming up, or like anyone you want to shout out?
I I really don't have anything coming up. I'm just doing what I can do, but I just want to thank you guys for everything you guys have done for not just veterans, but for the whole community and everything that you keep reaching out for and
Of course.
reaching out for me. And I mean, I believe you were the one that found me. I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, I don't even remember how. I think you started liking one of my posts, and I'm just like, if that never would have happened, we would have never gotten to this point either. So, and
Yeah.
and you guys have added a lot of value to my life, and I hope I'm doing the same for you guys, and hope I'm adding it to other people.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I hear Allie in the background. I'm not muting you,
Yep.
Rob. We're just gonna leave it in. Um, so, but yeah, man, we appreciate having you on. If you want to close this out, Rob.
Or we could let Allie do it. She's
Yeah.
squeaking
All
out.
right, are we back for a sec?
Yeah, you're good.
Close this out because Allie's officially closing
Just
me out.
throw it out the door.
Thank you everyone for joining the podcast. SOS is going to be releasing some new merch here really soon for wintertime performance line series stuff once we get figured out. We love you guys. Thank you very much. John, stick around for a sec so we can get our screenshot. I love you guys. Please subscribe, unsubscribe, and maybe even give Allie a follow. All right, peace.